Well, hello, my friend, and welcome back to another episode of Legacy Farmer, the podcast. This is your host, JC Young, and today's topic and discussion is this: everything you want is in the darkness. So today we're going to be talking about some of the dark times and dark periods of life and how everything that you seek and everything you desire inside of your life, for your family, for your business, for your legacy going forward, is ultimately found in the darkness. Now, the darkness, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about these are the hard periods of life that most people want to avoid. We avoid them because they're challenging. We avoid them because we get exposed in the darkness. We avoid them because mentally we just don't want to face that pain. And darkness is different to each and every one of us. For me, it was facing, before I look back at my journey through my own darkness in order to really get what I wanted in life, inside of that darkness, I had to face a lot of personal demons. And those demons, a lot of them were built on the farm and on the feed yard, and being told certain things my entire life around that really built my own personal identity, right, and what I thought about myself. And I think that's relevant for a lot of people, especially if you grew up on a farm. There's big arguments that happen out on the farm. The biggest things that I remember in my life growing up was that I never really did anything correctly. I remember getting criticized. I don't remember getting compliments, right? And I think that's true for a lot of people that grew up on the farm. It's just the way our parents did things. It's the way my granddad did things. I don't hold any ill will towards like my father, for example, because the way he was towards me, my granddad was 10 times worth towards him, right? So part of my darkness and part of my journey through that darkness involved me going through and really counteracting those stories and really challenging them in order to build a new reality, build a new identity for myself. And that's the type of stuff, guys, that a lot of people, they hate facing because it requires that you face your past. It requires that you face yourself and that you expose those wounds. And it's difficult because once you expose those wounds, man, it feels like you're dying again. It feels like you're just re-experiencing it all over again. The same emotions and feelings and everything, even if it happened 10 or 15 years ago. It all comes back to the surface, and for the first time now, you're facing it. But I'm just going to tell you, my friend, in order, again, for you to get whatever you want inside of your life, it involves and requires you to face those demons and overcome those challenging times in your life and really reshape those things and build and put together a new identity for yourself today. Because those old stories, guys, what you were told when you were little, what you were told by your father, your grandparents, or whoever, belittling you, telling you you're not good enough, telling you can't do this or you can't do that, or just basically criticizing you over and over again. One, they shouldn't have done that. Two, just because they did do that doesn't mean that they were doing it out of on purpose. And what I mean is that's just the way my dad was built. And he was built this way from my granddad, right? And that's why I don't hold any ill will towards him. I don't hold any ill will towards my granddad because what if my great-grandfather was that way towards my granddad, right? So we have to be open-minded here and actually consider what's happening. Now, what's beneficial is that once I got through my darkness, that opened up a new reality for me. Because unless you face those old demons, unless you face those old stories, you're constantly stuck back in that childhood, especially for those of you that are working on the family farm. You may be in your 30s or 40s right now, but you drive around and you look at certain parts of the operation. I could drive through our feed yard and I could tell you which pens I got my ass chewings in. We could drive through there right now and I could point out, I got my ass ripped right there. I got my ass ripped right there. I got my ass ripped right there. And I was just a young kid, right? So even if you're 30 or 40 and you haven't faced these demons yet, when you drive around that feed yard, you can remember. And it's like you're reliving and experiencing those things. You have not emotionally let go of those things yet. And I'm going to tell you this because, again, everything that you want is in facing that darkness, because on the other side of that darkness is where you actually get the light inside of your life, right? You get to create this new reality, this new identity for yourself. You get to finally become the man or woman that you want to become. And the journey to get there is really difficult. Now, this was just on the personal side that I'm talking about, guys. This is just on your personal life and building a new personal identity. Now let's shift over to business. There is a darkness that must be faced inside of your business. There is challenges and problems that you just keep burying, pretending that they're not there, hoping that one day somebody will come in and save you, or one day grain prices will just skyrocket like they are today. And you'll be saved. And I'm telling you, my friend, that is the wrong mentality to have here. It is the wrong mentality to have here. I posted on Facebook this morning. I said, you are 100% responsible for every result inside of your business. And a guy commented on there and he goes, well, honestly, that's not 100% true because the government did this to my business and the government has oversight here and they did this. Okay, great, my friend. So that's one attitude you can have towards it. But you can either be a victim and stay where you're at right now and think that you can't do anything because the government there is there and has oversight over you and is holding you back, or at least that's the story you want to tell. Or you can accept the fact that you chose that business. You chose to allow them to have oversight over you. Take accountability for that, and then go figure out how to solve it, figure out how to get around it, figure out how to take action and ultimately get what you want. Or the other option is, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to be a victim, and I'm not going to say anything or do anything, right? When we place blame on somebody else, that inevitably results in us not taking any action to fix the problem. Right? We don't want to do this. This is why I'm talking about facing your darkness. Even with my father, I could blame my father. Even I'm age 32 now. I could continue to blame my father for old stories and, oh, you did this or you did that. Okay, or I can sit there, I can blame him, and I take zero action to solve the problem. Or I say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be open-minded about this. I get where he was coming from. I get why he was the way that he was. I'm not going to sit here and be a victim the rest of my life and just blame him for the results today. I'm going to take accountability, take action, and reshape a new reality for myself and rebuild my identity so that I can ultimately take accountability and get the results that I want inside of my life. Right? It's completely two different mindsets. One involves taking action, right, which involves taking accountability. One involves sitting in the blame game, which results in zero action being taken. So it's just like that guy that commented on my Facebook post. The guy's going to take no action. He's inevitably going to be a victim. And I get, yes, guys, we have government oversight. We have all these different programs. We have all this stuff going on inside the world. Well, welcome to it. Welcome to be a business owner. You have to adapt. You have to change. And if you don't, you are choosing that. Okay, so a lot of you, again, back to the darkness side of your business, a lot of you have just been burying a lot of these problems and challenges that you've had for years, not knowing the numbers, not doing your bookkeeping, not having any system set up to make, sound financial decisions, not having team management systems in place, not really expanding your operation the way you want to, not having a tax strategy in place, not knowing what you're doing financially inside of the operation, right? And that's just the financial side. There's a whole other side of the operation too, that you could have some holes in. But again, if you continue to bury these problems and just hope that one day they'll be magically solved and you refuse to face that darkness, you will never experience what you really want, which is the light. You will never reach that area. In order to get to there is a tunnel of darkness that you must go through. You must face all these old demons, all these old things that you did not take care of in your business when you should have, all the work that you should have been putting in, all the long hours inside the office and then the books that you should have been putting in the past decade. You have to face those now. And if you really want to build a business that's successful and sustainable and profitable in any market and in any environment and something that you can pass on to your kids, it requires you to face that darkness and put in the work now. And this is really just a personal topic here too, guys, because I look at all the members inside of Legacy Farmer, and so many of them, when I talk about facing the darkness, they had to do this on the personal side and the business side. It's not an easy path to follow. It's very difficult. It's hard. And a lot of people, they want to avoid it in the beginning, and then they get a win. They face one small part of it, they get a win. They overcome it. They get the next one and the next one, and now it's like this compounding effect, and the ball gets bigger and bigger as it rolls down the mountain, and ultimately the results get bigger and bigger as well. And again, this isn't something magical that happens overnight. This takes time, my friend. This doesn't just magically happen in a month or 3 months or whatever. Our programs are a year long. The reason is because in that year, we got a lot of work to do. But we are trying to build skills and mindsets that are going to serve our members for the next several decades. Not just help them out this year. No, we want them to learn things here that they are going to carry on with them for the rest of their life. Kind of like what college is supposed to teach us when we actually walk away learning nothing and applying none of those and applying nothing of what we learned in college in actual life. The things that people learn inside a Legacy Farmer, I want them to carry with them and use as valuable assets on their journey for the next several decades and pass those on to their kids. But again, unless you're willing to face the darkness, unless you're willing to face your own stuff, unless you're willing to face the hard times, the hard things inside of your personal life and your business life, you are never going to get to where you ultimately want to go. And that is the hard truth. And that is something I had to battle with from 2016 to 2018. Started Legacy Farmer at the end of 2018, early 2019. And that's when I finally got over all those personal stories, all those business stories, and I started putting in the actual work that ultimately got me results. Was it easy work? Absolutely not. The hardest work that I've ever done in my life, but it was required in order for me to get to where I want to go. So my friend, I hope you took some value away from this message. I hope it sparks a fire in you. I hope you start facing some of those old things that you've been avoiding, personal and business, so that you can ultimately end up getting the results that you want inside of your life. So, my friend, that concludes this episode, and we will catch you on the next one.